Well, thanks. Good afternoon. It's great to be back here in Cedar Key. Normally when you see me, I don't come empty-handed, and so we got a good announcement here. I'm joined by the Secretary of Florida Commerce, Alex Kelly, our Senator, Keith Perry. This is the end of the road for, where's he? The end of the road for you, huh? Yeah, oh yeah, okay. We have Chuck Clemens, State Rep, Desiree Mills, Chair of the Levy County Board of County Commissioners, and Rose Cantwell, President of the Cedar Key Aquaculture Association. And I also, we have a representative from Kat Kamek, Congresswoman as well. So 6 months ago, we had a major hurricane hit the Big Bend area. Strong Category 3 storm, sustained winds of 120 miles per hour. And it was the first major hurricane to hit this area in quite some time. We knew that it could potentially be a big storm. We mobilized 5,000 National Guardsmen, had 8 urban search and rescue team with 500 personnel ready to go, used the Florida State Guard for the first time, and had 7 Florida Department of Transportation crew members with 1,100 generators on standby. Once the storm passed, we began assisting in power restoration, search and rescue, and deployed resources to impacted counties. We were able to clear the bridge here in Cedar Key and all state bridges less than 12 hours after landfall, which is important because you need to get people back on. We were able to come visit a variety of the areas. There was a handful of areas, including here, that had significant damage. And there are obviously things that were done immediately, which is important. But we also said at the time that the recovery takes time. And there'll be other things that are going to need to be done once people outside of this region forget that there was even a hurricane here. There's still going to be a need to do. So that's something we've always had in mind. And we've looked for different ways to support the communities that had been impacted. One of the things we've done in a big way since Hurricane Ian is utilize our Florida Disaster Fund, which is a charity fund. So it's not legislative money, not taxpayer money, people that have given. We have a lot of great stakeholders in Florida that have contributed to that. That allows us to get money out very quickly because it's not encumbered by the same process. So here in Cedar Key, through the Florida Disaster Fund, we were able to award $700,000 to support the aquaculture industry, which of course was disrupted by the hurricane. There are more than 230 aquaculture businesses in Citrus, Dixie, and Levy counties that maintain active leases with the state, and about half of those active leases support the production of clams. It's estimated that the Big Bend aquaculture industry experienced a loss in excess of $34 million due to Hurricane Idalia. Now, this region makes its living on the water. We're dedicated to using the tools available to us to reinvigorate and sustain these vital industries and this unique way of life. So I'm proud today to say that we will be awarding another $1 million from the Florida Disaster Fund to expedite the Hurricane Idalia home repair program through Florida Commerce. So this award will accelerate the recovery process for Floridians who lost their homes or experienced severe damage from the storm, and we're going to do even more. Today, I'm also pleased to announce the award of more than $5.3 million through the state's Rural Infrastructure Fund to communities that have been impacted by Idalia. These awards do a variety of things, particularly with respect to infrastructure. Here in Cedar Key, we're awarding $2.5 million to rehabilitate 17 lift stations. So Hurricane Idalia caused significant flooding and operational failures for the lift stations on Cedar Key. Those grants will make those systems more resilient and reliable in the future. This will include raising control panels above storm surge levels in order to safeguard these essential water and sewer services against future storms. We're also awarding $600,000 to the city of Live Oak for water and sewer services, $400,000 to Lafayette County to build commercial space at an industrial park, $337,000 to Cross City to develop plans for potable water wells, $304,000 to Taylor County in support of the local airport, $300,000 to the city of Monticello for sewer system improvements, $300,000 to the city of Perry for stormwater management studies, $300,000 to the city of Jasper for sewage system improvements, and $290,000 to town of Lee to improve water and sewer services for County Road 255 corridor and the developing Madison County Industrial Park. So each one of these awards will address important infrastructure systems that were affected by Hurricane Idalia. So through things like these, we're really laying the groundwork for long-term recovery. Now, we have some of our legislators here, and I want to thank them. They took swift action. This hurricane came in September, and by November, the legislature was meeting in special session to do a variety of things, but one of the things they did was provide appropriations for Hurricane Idalia impacted communities. And Senator Simon and Representative Schoaf sponsored that bill, and I want to thank them. But that's really what it's all about. Look, these things are not easy to deal with. There's a whole host of problems that come, and I wouldn't tell you that Florida handles everything perfect, but I could tell you, you would not rather be in a different state when you're having to respond to these things than in this state. And it's not just what we've done through the executive branch, it's also how strong the legislators have been. I mean, they did the same thing coming in after Ian, where we're able to do a lot in special session, and then again with Idalia. So my hat's off to them for understanding the sense of urgency. Okay, well, let's deliver. Do we have the check for the, I guess, Desiree, do you want to come up and accept this? Or do we have anyone from Cedar Key? You want to come up? Come on up.
Come on, I want to hear some camera quick.
All right. All right, congratulations.
I cannot say enough. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to hear from some of our speakers. So we'll start with Florida Commerce Secretary Alex Kelly.
Well, Governor, thank you so much, and everyone, thank you for having us here today. And Governor, really it is tremendous reflecting back on where we were early September, your leadership, the state's response. As you said, sir, hurricanes and what comes after, there's different stages to a response. I can think back to, when we were here in Cedar Key, going to places like Yankeetown, Crystal River, Keaton Beach, Perry, Horseshoe Beach. Every case, every place, the scenarios are a little bit different, but the response has to be immediate and constant and thorough, and it's a long-term response. Initially, you think about a hurricane, it's about power, roadways, schools, and businesses, getting those four going as quick as possible, allowing a community to get back on its feet. But as the governor noted, hurricane recovery, what we're doing here today, there's other stages to it. There's sort of some intermediate stages. There's a lot of the work that the legislature did. By the way, you've got two gems of legislators here, Senator Keith Perry and Representative Chuck Clemens, really, truly. The governor went through the grants earlier. I can tell you that your legislators here and the other legislators that we worked with on these funds, Senator Corey Simon, Representative Schoaf, they're not just working in Tallahassee. They're giving feedback throughout the entire process. They're working that process. They're letting us know what the communities in their district need. I remember when we were in Yankeetown, I think maybe as a group, 2 to 3 days after the storm, they're on the ground saying this is exactly what the community needs. needs, and that's why you get the results that you do. You know, back in December, the governor rolled out additional rural infrastructure funds for communities throughout this area: Columbia County, Taylor County, Baker County, Hamilton, Suwannee, and even right here in Levy for your water and wastewater cooperative. And that project, today's project, it's really is part of a thoughtful plan to build the way forward. Today is very much about those long-term needs. Every award today that the governor went over, every one of them relates to a system of some sort: a water system, wastewater, sewer, stormwater lift stations right here in Cedar Key that were largely overrun during the storm. In some cases, actually failed during the storm. And so these are critical long-term needs. I mean, these are the kind of critical needs that you need the funding and support now to help to prepare for the next hurricane season. But also they're critical to their response time, because all of these systems that we're talking about, they're the difference between a business opening in 5 days or 5 months. 5 months, it's done, it's over, can't have it. So it's gotta be as quick as possible. These are the systems, these are the changes that are needed from an infrastructure perspective to make sure that a community can get back on its feet as quick as possible. So Florida Department of Commerce, what we do is largely about the long-term recovery from a job seeker perspective and a job creator perspective. So, you know, Governor, thanks to your leadership, you empower us and drive us to move forward with velocity and purpose to support a community's recovery, both the short-term recovery and the long-term recovery. So, you know, please consider us a friend and a partner, and we'll keep coming back as much as we need to keep the support that you need to recover and be more resilient, you know, and be more ready for the next time. So, again, Governor, thank you so much.
Okay, Desiree.
Thank you, Governor. And I want to, as Chairman of the Levy County Board of County Commissioners, I want to welcome everybody to beautiful Cedar Key. It's a lovely day today. I want to extend my thanks to Governor DeSantis for making these awards possible and for being here today. We appreciate you. Thank you to our legislative delegation, Senator Keith Perry and Representative Chuck Clemens, for your efforts to support and protect Cedar Key, where they're appreciated by all of Levy County. Thank you to our Cedar Key Mayor, Ms. Sue Colson, Mr. McCain, and all the other members of Cedar Key and the Cedar Key Commission that have been such wonderful partners in working hard with the Levy County Board of County Commissioners, the state leaders, to make these awards possible. Without the support and the cooperation, these things would never happen. I also mentioned that Hurricane Idalia brought record-high storm surge that flooded and devastated infrastructure on the island. The day after the storm hit, the governor and his team were here to make sure that we had everything we needed. I appreciate the cooperation that has been given to the local government in both municipalities and the county. We appreciate that the governor and the First Lady have continued to show up to our community and continue to partner with us for the healing process. Part of the livelihood here is aquaculture farming. We appreciate the specific awards and the support today for this critical industry. This act will ensure that the aquaculture of Cedar Key will remain pristine and viable for generations to come. We appreciate the governor and his continued support, and thank you from Levy County.
Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for being here. It's been an honor, I'll tell you what, representing you guys. I am termed out, so you'll have another state senator. I'm going to make sure he gets out here and meets all you guys and stuff. But I want to tell you, we talked about how quickly the response was. And that's the governor has been asking for and getting funding for the state guard and the training of them. And you, like you said, you want to be in Florida when something happens, or do you want to be in a state where they're teaching their state guard about pronoun use? Or do you want to teach them about logistics and what we're doing? And this is what the governor's done. This is not by accident things happen. This is by design. We do it. We have states that say, hey, you know, we're more important thing about woke issues than we are about getting help and on the ground. And so the leadership that the governor's demonstrated over these years to build this capacity to come in and respond to these things. Again, it's a testament. Thank you, Governor, for doing that. And then also the economic activity that's happened through the state. Every single year since the governor's been in office, we've cut taxes, we've paid down debt, we put money in reserves, and we have more money. And that means when we have more money, when you entice businesses to grow and expand, then you have funds to do this when we need these kind of issues that come up. So, again, a testament to our governor that, you know, with his leadership and building the dynamics of this state has been critically important You can talk all you want, but it's the leadership, it's the design, it's the building. And you don't see a lot of that. You don't see the work that he does, 12, 14 hours a day building these teams and making sure this happens. So if it wasn't for the governor, we wouldn't be in this capacity. So I want to thank him for his leadership in the state. And like I say, it's been a blessing. It's been an honor to serve you guys. Last time we saw the governor down here was in Yankeetown. My wife back there, we were meeting over there. So, it's not good that on her cell phone, her thing is not me, a picture of me, it's the governor. But anyway, and with that, I'll have Speaker Pro Tem Chuck Clemens come up and share with you. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Governor Ron DeSantis and Mr. Secretary, for being here. I can honestly say, as a lifelong Floridian, there hasn't been a governor in the state of Florida that has known more about rural Florida and know where the people that rural Florida are coming from than Ron DeSantis. Let's give him another round of applause. The Secretary mentioned earlier, we do work as a team, and when you call the governor's office, they answer the phone, and when we have concerns, they respond to the concerns that we have and that we bring to the governor's office, and they turn things around very quickly. Governor, I want to say that 6 short months ago, this building was the EOC for the city of Cedar Key. And Mr. James and Miss Sue, they were in that room along with Sheriff McCullough in there. They were doing the things that they needed to do, and I swelled with pride when I came the day that the bridge was opened. And when we got here, Governor, it looked like a war zone. Cedar Key hadn't been this damaged since, I think, 1898 was the last major storm. We had 7 feet of rising water that basically devastated everything. But these folks that live here, many of them generationally, Governor, the resiliency that they have is unmatched. What I witnessed when the mayor showed me around, and Senator Perry and Representative McLean at the time, was a can-do attitude. Governor, these people weren't waiting for government to come and to help. If you or your family were impacted negatively by the storm, raise your hand, please. Okay. These folks were out there with their own tractors, with their own shovels. They were removing the debris from the city streets. They were actually just shell-shocked. Many of them had lost everything. Going into the restaurants and seeing, the fancy wines down in the water because the storm had taken them out. So I want to thank you, sir. I want to thank the Secretary. I want to thank the County Commission for rising to the occasion. We couldn't have a better place to live, work, and worship. And woke, Senator, thank you. If you got woke in Cedar Key, it's because you stayed at Steamers too late Saturday night. And you got woke up to go see Phil Prescott preach on Sunday morning. So thank you. Appreciate it, lady. Thank you.
Hello. I just want to say, if you had told me 6 months ago that Governor DeSantis would know my name and I'm the chair of the Aquaculture Association, I would have said no way. But as you all know, Cedar Key is home to clamming industry, and our biggest aquaculture business here is clams, oysters, and crabs. But we kind of surpassed with the clamming industry, as he said. And we were pretty hard hit from the storm, and it caused over 7 feet of storm water to rise over our normal 7 feet of water. And the Big Bend area, which understandably caused all of our clammers, all of our farmers, all of our industry members to be concerned what the future was going to hold. Is it going to hurt our ability to clam anymore? As I mentioned, aquaculture is a huge part of our local economy. Protecting our industry is critical to so many generations of businesses and families in our actual region. Immediately following the storm, as everybody has just indicated, Governor DeSantis was available, his wife's been available, but also he activated small business support resources to help our businesses survive. Shortly thereafter, First Lady Casey DeSantis. She announced more than over $6 million to support the disaster recovery in the Big Bend area, including our region, of course. And an additional, this is what we were super excited about, our personal industry, $700,000 through the Florida Disaster Fund that she had created to support our local shellfish aquaculture industry growers and to help us all recover following the storm. And it has been a godsend. The timing couldn't have been more perfect, and it was the first relief that we were able to see, and it has been instrumental in helping us continue. Our governor here and our local leadership understand, they all have been supportive, that we need and our needs, and have showed up again and again to help us recover from this terrible disaster. Today, we are grateful for the continued support of our governor and our local dignitaries, I'm going to say. This award today will enable the fixing of the critical infrastructure that failed during Hurricane Idalia. And obviously, water is our lifeblood for our local economy here. This project today funded will also help Cedar Key mitigate impacts of future storms, creating more confidence in the strength and resiliency of our local economy and safeguard us against our largest industry, which is clamming. And I just want to take a minute before I close. I wanted to ask Justice Winfield to stand up. He is one of our future clam farmers of Cedar Key. He is graduating this year. He also has teamed up with a very large independent clam farmer in Cedar Key. He has his own clams down right now. He is our future, and that gives us hope for a continued aquaculture future from to help all our justices in Cedar Key and to continue feeding America. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, we're, oh, no, I'm good. Yeah, oh, yeah, okay. Well, we're excited to be able to continue to help out, and I know that we'll be doing more as things are necessary. Our folks are standing by, and I do appreciate what Chuck said about the resiliency, about people, not just sitting back hoping the federal government's gonna fix everything, because we know that doesn't ever work. But also, the state, we've leaned in on say temporary housing. It used to be that anytime there would be a need for temporary housing, it'd be whenever FEMA can get trailers, which a lot of times would take months. We had trailers within a couple days of the storm at some folks' property, and they were working on that housing mission. So that's just an example of the state understanding, hey, we're not going to just sit here and wait for the federal government. And it's easy, you can kind of blame them, and yes, maybe they should be more efficient, but the reality is when there's needs, we want to be able to step up and do it. So Kevin Guthrie, his team at the Division of Emergency Management did a really, really good job, and we'll continue to step up. And also, I just made an announcement earlier today about Florida stepping up again. We did a send-off for a number of our personnel who are going to go to the southern border to help Texas stop what is happening there. We started sending people in 2001, Biden's first year. We were the first state, I think, to answer the call for support, and we've had people throughout the last few years as these iterations have been necessary. And so we have, I think, 76 Highway Patrol and then 50 National Guard. We're also going to be having folks from the Florida State Guard. We'll do a deployment as well. And so this is all a recognition that we're all Americans, and we either have borders or we don't have borders. And if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. So if the federal government's not going to do the job, then it is the responsibility of the states to step up and fill the void. So Texas has obviously been consumed with this. We've been very, very helpful. A bunch of other states have sent, not as much as Florida, but they have sent as well. So I think that that's really, really important. It is also just a fact that because of an open border, when you have 8 million people come illegally, including now a lot of people from China coming across, thousands and thousands of people from China just in the last couple months, that is not something that is normal. You have people coming from the Middle East, military-age males from the Middle East pouring into this country via the southern border. Do you think that that's in your best interest as an American for that to happen? So you see all this, and what it's done is it's transformed every community into a border community, because no community is immune from the fentanyl. No community is immune from so many people just being here. You see hospitals, you see schools, you see all kinds of problems, criminal aliens, you name it. So when I first was sending people said, oh, well, Florida, you're not on the southern border. Why do you care? Well, now people see why we cared, because it was something that we knew was going to be a big, big problem. So I appreciate it. And the thing is, like, the people that have been down there, there's huge morale. Like the National Guard will be more kind of on the border. Highway Patrol helps interdict people once they get across the border, and that really helps Texas, because they obviously have limited resources. But the morale is very good. People believe in the mission. They understand it's important. They do see the connection to not just Florida, but the rest of the country. And, you have all these places like New York. They used to virtue signal saying they were sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. Now they've had to deal with it, and they don't like it, and they're complaining. Illinois is complaining, saying that they have all these people. It just shows you sanctuary policies do not work. Open borders do not work. So I'm glad that we've been playing a constructive role in this, and that's, I think, what you have to do. You got to be willing to lead, and you got to be willing to take on problems when the federal government isn't doing the right thing. Another thing the federal government hasn't done the right thing on is, I'm going to sign a bill very shortly that the legislature has passed that's going to make public all the grand jury materials from Jeffrey Epstein case back when it was in South Florida. So this was in South Florida, in Palm Beach. They were going through the grand jury, and then it ended up going federal. And he didn't get much of a punishment, and they've had all that. Biden can release all of this, all the federal files for Epstein. He could release that if he wanted to. He should release it. We're doing our part in Florida by signing that legislation that's going to allow, because, normally grand jury testimony is secret. And understandably so. So you have to go through this process to be able to make it public. But I think it's the right thing to do. We're leading on transparency on this. How do you have this? You have a serial offender entertaining all these people in Palm Beach, New York, this island, all this stuff, and yet nobody has been charged to be associated with this except the two. I mean, I don't think any of us think that passes the smell test. So we're going to be able to sign that, and that'll be really the first major example of transparency. And of course, the federal government, they're concealing what has happened in terms of some of these federal cases. And I think it's been a real farce to see how this is all played out. So this will maybe shine some light on some of the things that happened. This is many years ago. I mean, the Florida component of this was close to 20 years ago. It was at least 15 years ago. I think it was like 2006, 2005, 2006. But we're going to do that, and we're going to do our part with respect to that. And now, we've got a couple weeks left in the legislative session. I know they're working on the budget. I know that they're working on a lot of great stuff. I think you're going to see some really, really good stuff. A lot of good product out of us this legislative session. Last year, we did more than has ever been done. I would say not just in Florida. You can't find another state that has done more than what we did last year. If you look soup to nuts, it's just a fact. But I think this is going to be a good follow-up for that, and I think people are going to be really, really happy to see all that's going on. And Keith mentioned some of that. The reality is we have cut taxes every year. We did $2.7 billion in tax relief last year. That's the most in Florida history by a country mile. But yet we've run budget surpluses and have paid down 25% of our state's debt. So for all the history of Florida, all the debt that's accumulated, we've knocked out a quarter of that just in the last 5 years. We're going to continue to do that. That shows you not just current success, but a state that's fiscally sound for the long haul. These states, California, they've got a $70 billion deficit while we have a big surplus. Illinois is functionally bankrupt. If you look at all their unfunded liabilities and these pensions, the thing about the pensions, and this is true in New York and true in Chicago, you'll have somebody that goes and they're in the NYPD, they qualify their pension. A lot of them move to Florida and spend the money here, and so it's like those all the stuff they have in New York, it isn't necessarily solvent. They're not even getting any benefit because they're chasing so many people off to come. And so we're built in, I think, for the long haul. You never know. I mean, I told the leaders, and I think both the leaders agree with me, is that we've got money coming in because Florida's doing better than other states. But you never know what lurks around the corner, and so you don't want to spend too much money or be irresponsible. And I think that they've really heeded to that, and I think we're going to have a really good budget. I think everything's going to be looking really, really good for us. So I'm excited for that. And that also is good news when we do have events like this. It's unfortunate, no one wants that, but we had a disaster fund where we were able to then deploy resources. I didn't have to call a special session, didn't have to borrow money. We were there and able to do it and get the job done. So you should be proud of that, because that is not the norm in this country. Some of these other states, they can't, they wouldn't be able to handle crisis situations like this because they're just insolvent and they've got so many other problems. So so thanks for everyone who's been involved in that, and thank you all for coming out. It's great to be back in Cedar Key. I tell you, when you have something like this, it's unfortunate. There is media attention for a while, and people like around the country are looking, and then they see the damage, but they also see why people would live here, why people would visit here, because it's a beautiful piece of real estate. And I know it's been something that that you've had people from generations that have either lived here or come and visit, and we want to keep those traditions going forward. So you can count on us. Thanks, everyone. God bless. Yep.